I've covered this stuff in some other videos, but I imagine like somebody types into Google how to find a tangent line in pool. So we're going to get that out of the way as quickly as we can here. The first way that I was taught, say I'm going to shoot this 5 into the side. I just want to know, it's a very slight cut, where's the tangent line going to go? What I was told was take my cue, act like I'm just going to shove the 5 into that pocket. That's my tangent line. That's where the cue ball will go with a sliding cue ball. Sliding cue ball, no top or bottom. They'll go here or here along that line. You want to cut the 12 in, same side. Maybe I'm worried about the scratch. Take cue, shove it in. I think I'm shoving that 12 ball in there. My tangent line is pointing here, not to the pocket. So with a sliding cue ball, if I shoot this shot with a sliding cue ball, it's not going to scratch. And I guess just one more example. Shoot the 7 there. Where's my tangent line? Going high out of the pocket with a sliding cue ball. So again, don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry. I could make a scratch with a little bit of top, but otherwise it's just going to follow that line. It can physics. It has to. So that's finding the tangent line on like an object ball that's kind of out in space. Well, the other one that's kind of related. Again, I've covered this before, but I want to put this all in one video for somebody to just Google it. So I've got these 2 balls here, and I want to know, hey, will that 5 carry them off the 11 into the corner? Will it do that? As I walk around here, I see a little triangle between the 5 and 11 and the cloth. And as I move from side to side, that triangle gets bigger and larger. When it's at its biggest, then that's when I'm sighting directly along the tangent line. So if I shoot this 5 into that 11, it's going to go along that tangent line. Another thing I guess I didn't really, maybe everybody just already knows this. So I want to know I'm not trying to make a ball. Let's give myself a cluster. I'm not trying to make a ball, but I want to send the cue ball up here, some kind of a safety. So I want to find my tangent line. I want to find, okay, I want the cue ball to kind of take this line and go up table. I can lay it like this, come back here. Be careful you don't let go of the cue, because a lot of places say, well, if you do that, it's a foul. If you don't do that, it's not a foul. Whiny crybabies. But see, okay, where am I pushing that 11 right now? I'm pushing it in that direction of about right here. So if I shoot the 11 in a direction about right there with a sliding cue ball, then it's going to follow that tangent line. So that's another use for that. And I will be back after I reboot my camera. So now that Google boy or girl are gone, I'll just get to the nitty gritty of the video. Just a couple of things that I felt like were interesting. If I have this shot, which is more or less what I was demonstrating, the 11 will carry them off the 3 into that corner pocket. These balls are frozen. That carom line, that tangent line, I use those 2 terms interchangeably. I'm not sure that's correct, but that's what I do. Is not going to change because they're already touching. I'm not going to make the 11 go back and then touch it someplace else. It's always touching right there. So that's one interesting thing that you kind of have to keep in mind. And the other one is, if these aren't frozen, the only way I can hit that same carom line is shoot the 11 straight into the 3, like that. And if I shoot the 11 straight into the 3, any bets on what's going to happen right now? It's not going to do anything. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to carom down that tangent line. because it just hit it dead in the face. And that's what it has to do. If you determine for tangent point, carrying point, whatever, with two balls frozen, that's what it has to be in order to get the object ball to go in the same direction. So yeah, I guess that's interesting, maybe a little bit annoying and stuff. These things can be manipulated. But in this case, with these balls frozen, and now all of a sudden they're not, but I still want to hit that same spot on the 3. I can do it, but the only way I can do it is by shooting the 11 straight into the 3, and it's not going to go anyplace. So that's definitely something that has to be kept in mind. One of the things that I've already alluded to on the tangent lines is they're not carved in granite. You can deviate from them, either on purpose or by accident. The straighter, or the more full of a contact you have on the object ball, the easier it is to deviate from that tangent line. Again, either on purpose or by accident. This is a very slight cut to my right. I know for a fact, because I've been playing pool long enough, that the tangent line on this shot goes straight in this pocket. The other tangent line goes here. So if the cue ball was here, but I'm not worried about it because I can deviate off of it. This is definitely a thick enough cut. Anybody watching this video, I certainly hope knows, put a little bit of follow on it, the cue ball is going to come up here somewhere. Put a little draw on it, the cue ball is going to come back here somewhere. You don't have to worry about it. But it's a fairly full hit on the 6. If it's a thin shot on the 6, let's say like this, still want to cut the 6 here. I've still got this tangent line, and I can still deviate off of it, but it's not as easy. It's not as easy. With the cue ball here, I might hit here with follow. With the cue ball down here, when I hit about here, certain shots are just really ridiculously stupid, and you never shoot them in real games, or almost never. One of the kind of shots that comes up every now and then in one pocket, if the table is laid out correctly and stuff, is if that's my pocket and I want to cut that 1. Again, this tangent line, because that ball's on the spot, goes straight into that corner pocket. It's very easy to scratch on the shot. But if I cut it correctly with follow, I can deviate forward of that tangent line just enough to avoid the scratch. And in theory, maybe even make the shot. If you hit this ball too full at all with follow, it's actually not really follow, it's more just like a rolling ball hit. By the time the cue ball gets down there, it's just going to be rolling. If I can put this in with follow, then I won't scratch. So I'm going to scratch up here on that shot. Oh, almost scratched. See that? See, I didn't deviate from that tangent line very damn much at all, but I did deviate from it, and you can. If two balls are frozen, you do the same thing. Let me set up this other shot. This is another shot that comes up in one pocket a lot. Maybe the guy followed in your last ball and scratched behind it. So you get ball in hand behind the line. That's my pocket to the right. The tangent line for that 11 goes right here. There's no pocket there. But I can force my way through it. This is, I don't know if I want to call this a standard shot, but you see it. It depends on the layout of the rest of the balls and how good you are compared to your opponent, how confident you are or overconfident you are. I don't think I've ever seen Shane miss a shot. I don't think I've ever seen Tony Chohan even try the shot. To him, it's not worth the risk. To me, I shoot it because I think it's cool when it happens. And even if it doesn't happen, it doesn't have to sell out. It doesn't have to sell out. Some of it sells off that cross the corner. I missed it by quite a bit. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, I think there might be something weird about some of these shots that are, the one ball hit the 15 pretty full. The front ball hit the other ball pretty full. There might be some kind of like double contact action happening here. The way this pushes through, I don't know. It's certainly not just going that way, right straight across the tangent line. If these balls aren't frozen, then to me the shot is almost impossible. It's going to go forward, hit a tangent line, and go in about that direction. You put a little bit of draw on the cue ball and maybe get the one to follow forward a little bit more, but it's not going to push forward. And that's where I think that maybe there is a little like, double hit action that's happening on the shot. Maybe. Don't know. Trying to think what else that. Can you guys even see the difference? So, what I did yesterday is I took out my grading in my light here. So all I have is the perimeter lighting up here. It definitely makes everything brighter as hell. I don't like the fact that all this is now bright, and this is not a permanent situation. This is just so I can drill some holes and rerun some wires. But I can definitely tell the difference down here shooting and such. That my lighting is now, well, better as far as the pool table goes. This would probably spoil me rotten because most other places I would go aren't going to have lighting on the table that's just good. Talked about a way to manipulate the cue ball off of that tangent line with follow or top, and how if I were to shoot this shot with follow, it'll come in, it'll start out exactly along that tangent line, and then start curving forward a little bit, or a lot, depending on my stroke. If I want to shoot it with draw, it'll go along the tangent line, and then drop back. It's a curve, or I think it's technically a straight line, and then a curve, depending on the speed and the quality of the stroke and all that. Another way to deviate off of that line is left or right side spin on the cue ball. This is one of the things that, I was taught back a million years ago when I first started learning how to play, and I was kind of taught wrong. So I'm going to, correct it, and correct it for you guys. Thing is, if I shoot a sliding cue ball into this one with right side spin, it is going to throw the one to my left. If I still want to make the one, which I do in this case, I have to hit it a little bit more full than I would hit it with, vertical axis stuff. I have to hit it a little bit more full. And as soon as I do that, that contact point where the cue ball hits the one just changed. And my new carrying line might be here. Whereas before it was straight into the pocket. Now it might be here. So if I shoot this shot, and I'm not stretched out too much, and I am stretched out quite a bit, try to get a sliding ball with right side spin. It goes along that tangent line. The reason that stuff like that might be useful, depends on the layout of the balls and stuff, is that was a straight pad. Shooting that ball with right English changed this carrying point, this tangent point, and then the cue ball traveled in a straight line along that thing. It didn't do this, go down the line a little bit and then curve. Or go down this line a little bit and curve this way. It was just a straight thing. So manipulating my way out of this scratch tangent line, it happened immediately. And then there's no deviation after that. We're assuming a sliding cue ball, no top or bottom. When I say sliding, I mean no top or bottom. They could still be doing left spin or right spin. If I want to do the same thing with left English, again, for whatever reason, I don't want to scratch, for whatever reason, with left spin, I know it's going to throw the 9 ball towards the camera. The spin-induced throw is. So I can't aim it for the pocket, because then it'll throw it and it'll hit this rail down here instead. I don't want that in this case. So I need to aim it to overcut it a little bit and be counting on that clockwise spin on the cue ball to change my tangent line. Okay, I just overcut that 9. So my tangent line is not here anymore. It's here because I overcut it. And that's exactly what happens. And again, that is immediate and that is a straight line. It is not one of these curved things that can happen. And I found that useful at times. As you probably just saw, those are kind of shots where you don't really want the cue ball to be traveling around too much, but you want to be precise. If I'm playing one pocket a lot of times, I have situations where I want to come straight here and down here like softly or something like that. Some kind of a two-way shot. I don't want it to go here and curve and do whatever it's going to do. I want to be able to feel like I'm controlling it a little bit better. And that's the kind of situation where that can come in handy. One of the science guys, he might say, "Oh no, that's wrong, Dave." I mean, I think they're wrong in that case. I think that tangent line is not dependent on being 90 degrees from the object ball. I believe that tangent line is set when these two balls collide. That just set my tangent line. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter which direction that 13 goes in. If I have left or right spin, I'll draw or follow even. That tangent line just is set because of that contact. With follow, it's going to go this way and bend at some point. With draw, it's going to go the same exact way and curve back at some point. With right spin, if I hit the same spot, if I hit the exact same spot with right spin, it doesn't make any difference at all to which path the cue ball takes. It's going to go along this tangent line. Left spin, the same thing. It's going to go along this tangent line. But if I had some destination in mind for the 13, that's when this has to change depending on what kind of spin you just put on the ball, because of spin-induced throw. Just my opinion, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Oops, except for holding the remote in the right direction. Hey, I thought of something else. I actually thought I was done with this video, but apparently not. So when I shot this shot, cutting this 13 to my right, what I neglected to mention was that, well, contact-induced throw does exist. At a very thin cut like this, it doesn't exist that much, but it does exist. So while I wasn't specifically aiming the shot, if I had been, I would have been aiming it maybe for about this point, not for the center of the pocket. And by aiming at this point, let's push the 13 at that point. That changes my tangent line a little bit, makes the scratch a little bit less likely. Assuming that I hit the stupid 13 accurately. And I got lucky once, but let's see if I get lucky twice in a row. So I was trying to demonstrate you can push through the tangent line. The thinner the shot is, the less you can push through it. But you can still do it. And I did do it on that shot. But also got a little bit of help from the fact that I had to change my contact point because of contact-induced throw. And I just didn't think about that because that was kind of like subconscious, I guess. I didn't think about the fact that I'm not aiming this for the center of the pocket anymore, but I'm aiming it for that near point. That's overcut that. I tell you what, it's hard to undercut that kind of a cut shot without scratching. So I usually count it as a win if I do that, because very often if you undercut that ball at all, the stupid thing goes straight into the corner. That just reminded me of another shot. I don't believe I've ever. Where was it? I don't believe I've ever made this shot without scratching. But I have made this shot. So 13's on the foot spot basically. And the cue ball is one diamond out from the center. I have little dots. I've mentioned those before. When I cut this 13, it will cut. I can push through that carom line just a little bit, but it's such a thin damn cut. I haven't ever been able to push through enough. I'm going to move a couple balls here because this pocket is kind of full. And I'm expecting, if I make this 13, I'm expecting to scratch. Not expecting to make the 13 because I haven't shot this shot in a long time. But I can look at this and I'm like, yeah, I can't draw out of that tangent line. I can't follow out of it. My cut induced throw isn't strong enough because this is a very, very thin cut. This is, like at my limit of a cut, I believe. You see how much I undercut that shot? I'm just going to shoot this a couple times and then close the video. You guys don't have to watch this part unless you want to root for me or something. Still undercut. That's what I do. When I have made it, I have scratched, and there's been nothing that I've been able to do about scratching at that thin of an angle. Sure, I deviated from the tangent line by 0.000001 degrees, which wasn't enough. All right, thanks, guys.